I'm extremely honored and humbled for this recognition by the Alabama Sports Officials Hall of Fame for doing something that I've always loved doing. Your recognition of my years of service, contributions to a sport, and lifetime achievements are very much appreciated, emotionally, and humbling. I was first introduced to officiating by W.A. Doc Jordan back in 1974 at 15 years old in the sports of Little League football and baseball. At 18, Doc trained me and introduced me to high school sports. That's where I met my dear friend that would become a lifetime mentor and role model in officiating, Greg Brewer, whom I dearly miss. Greg and Coach Dan Washburn provided me opportunities for me to advance at the high school level. Then came my next mentor, Mike Murphy, an inductee tonight as well, a high school booking agent and college official, introduced me to the collegiate game. During my early years, Mike then introduced me to Mary Day, who was one of the top college officials in the NCAA women's game. Mary encouraged me and then threatened me to try something different. NCAA women's basketball. It became one of the best decisions I would make in my officiating career. I'm forever grateful for each of them and the confidence they had in me. The common person will never understand the commitment, sacrifices, and dedication it takes to be an official at any level. Life lessons are gained in forms of communication and understanding and what true patience is all about. As an official, I've always had great admiration for coaches and the athletes for their tireless efforts to be the best at what they did. I truly believe that most coaches and players had the same respect for officials. I also take great pride in knowing that I was personally responsible for molding one of the winningest football coaches in the history of Alabama through my officiating, Coach Steve Savarese. Coach, you're very welcome. Officiating was one of the most rewarding chapters in my life, and I would encourage others to consider it. My advice to the up-and-coming officials is to be a sponge, soak in the experiences of others, and be great listeners. Be approachable and be respectful to the players and coaches at all times, but more importantly, be respectful to the game. And lastly, have fun and never take yourself too serious. My mentors are all around me tonight. I would start with the people I mentioned earlier, Coach Dan Washburn, Mike Murphy, and Mary Day. And then I would add Don Hudson, Eddie Miller, Bill Wiggins, and Barry Roberts. The supervisors that took a chance on me were Bill Stokes in the ACC and Sharon Gaunt in the SEC. And then the one person that I'd said was my lifetime mentor was Greg Brewer. Greg gave me a second chance to be successful after I failed him early in my career. And because of that second chance tonight, I'm being inducted into this great organization that my lifetime mentor started. I'm forever grateful to Greg Brewer. When I think about my favorite memories, my first thoughts is how much fun it was to officiate incredible athletes while the likes of Pat Summit of Tennessee, Joe Champy of Auburn, Van Chancellor at Ole Miss, and Leon Barmore of Louisiana Tech walked the sideline. My most memorable moment in my career came very early. It still seems like just yesterday that Don Hudson and I were walking in the arena at Tulane to work the Tulane-Ole Miss game, my very first SEC game. I was pumped. I was ready, and I was confident that this was what God had in mind for me, so I needed to do it well. The toss goes up, ball batted in my direction. I go down. I've got a foul at the 8 seconds into the game, 19 minutes and 52 seconds left. I go to the table and I report it, and as I did, the senior official is talking to the coach, and the coach says, "Hey, does this kid know that he's working SEC basketball?" I'm like, wow, I can't believe he's even questioning that call. So I go on, move on. At 45 seconds into the game, 19 minutes and 15 seconds, my partner has a foul. He goes and reports. I go to the table side, and the coach from Ole Miss looks at me, and he says, "Mr. Young, how long have you been working in the SEC?" Now, I looked up at the clock, and I realized that in 45 seconds of my SEC career, I was already being questioned about my officiating ability. I took a deep breath and thought to myself, well, it was fun while it lasted. Then looked over and said, "Coach, if you'll give me 15 more seconds, it'll be 1 minute." As I started back down the court, I turned to look over my shoulder, and Coach had his head in his hands, bent over laughing. That was the beginning of a wonderful relationship. Over the next 19 years, every time Coach Chancellor and I crossed paths, he would ask me the same question: how long have you been doing this? And he would just laugh. I always thought that God had a great sense of humor. In closing, I'm a firm believer that in order for anyone to be successful in whatever you do, there are a number of people that put us in the position to be successful. We all ride the coattails of others that have sacrificed before us. And that long list of people, again, I'm forever grateful. I've been truly blessed by the support of my family, especially my children, Kaylan and Will, for understanding and supporting my absence at times throughout their lives. My wife, Donna, my biggest cheerleader since I was in the 8th grade, for always being my greatest supporter, even though she had no idea why I enjoyed having others yell at me. I told her it was just preparing me for marriage. And my 93-year-old mother, Barbara Young, who, regardless of where I lived and where I traveled, she was always wanting to know how games turned out. She was always there. And lastly, to every sports official that I was fortunate to work with from Little League throughout my college career, it's because of each of you that I'm here today. And for that, I'm forever grateful for your continued friendships. Thank you.